almost 3 years after he died in a tragic shooting in Atlanta. Devin Coin Bennett, alias King Vav, is still a hot topic in the rap scene, apart from having his music still being released even in 2023. The Chicago rapper has been in the news after his private life was made public. He was implicated in various homicides and alleged crimes related to the Chicago gang scene, even earning the title of a serial killer. It's safe to say that many people, especially fellow rappers, were afraid of him. So why exactly were rappers scared of King Vav? Number 1 is mad affiliates. The first reason King Vav was feared by RAERS was because of the people he rolled around with. They say you're the sum of the 5 people you hang around with. Well, King Vav hung around very dangerous people. Some are well known in the hip-hop world, while others became famous after their deaths. Some of his affiliates included Lil Durk and T-Roy. Perhaps the most dangerous of these affiliates was his best friend James Johnson, alias T-Roy. Standing at around 5 feet 1 inch, T-Roy was a fierce shooter for the Black Disciples SEO block. Although he was not well known to the world when he was alive, stories about him became prominent after his death as people he rolled with spoke about him in songs and interviews. Before he died, Troy had been responsible for multiple shootings and murders in the Chicago gang wars. He had become so dangerous that it was rumored that he was Chief Keef's shooter. Chief Keef fueled the rumor by mentioning T-Roy in his songs. In his record No Reason, the Chicago rapper sings, "I'm cooling in the trap, getting high for no reason. T-Roy grabbed my strap. He going to blast for no reason." In the song Savage, Chief Keef raps, "Troy, he got the semi, he'll send your ass to heaven." Apart from that, he also alluded to Troy being a shooter in his track Self-Ware.
Roy just is different, you know what I'm saying? He was a real enforcer. Shorty is a savage on all. Another motherfucker that was fearless.
Another Chicago rapper T Capone revealed that Troy would just eat, sleep, and roll up on.
Troy is one of those, like, he one of them type of, he wake up, eat, sleep, shit, this drill.
T Capone also revealed that Roy's ops were afraid of the O Block.
T-Roy, you ain't got to be scared of him if you want to gas, you know what I'm saying? But if you on that other side, you should be terrified of him. Like just terrified of him, like, and for good reason.
So how did young T-Roy become one of the most feared gangsters in Chicago? There are a few theories that have been floated around trying to explain why young T-Roy turned into a bloodthirsty shooter who struck fear into the hearts of his ops. According to his friend T Capone, T-Roy may have started his ruthless killing streak because he was tired of being picked on. Remember, he was a short guy, meaning,
you know, it's probably a little nigga syndrome. You growing up with shit. Everybody thinking you 10 years old. You probably got to a point where he was tired of him thinking because he little as chicken.
Fed up with the treatment he got because of his short stature, he turned to the one thing that would keep all his bullies at bay. T-Roy got himself a gun. In fact, he made sure he had the best and biggest gun in the block just to show everyone who was boss. Interview. However, another one of T-Roy's childhood friends gave insight into what really turned James Johnson into a cold-blooded killer. Former O Block member J Hood revealed that Troy was traumatized after witnessing the death of his friend and childhood hero on August 10, 2011 at around 11 p.m. Popular Wick City gang member O.D. Perry was riding his bike on the 6400 block of South Martin Luther King Drive. The calm of the night was about to be disrupted by an event that would define the future of Wick City and 6400 blocks, according to multiple witnesses. As O.D. rode his bike past AutoZone, a person with dreadlocks subtly approached him. Before O.D. knew it, the person had drawn a pipe and let off multiple shots. Witnesses also confirmed that they saw 2 people running away from the crime scene and hopping into a vehicle which sped away. The fierce shooter was left to die on the street as
then T-Roy was like there with him his last little moments, and T-Roy and then T-Roy said that, oh, like, damn, they got me, bro. Like, that was his last word.
O.D. Perry was loved and adored by everyone in Parkway Gardens. That after his death, the Wick City gang changed its name to O Block. Even his funeral was packed, as many people
overly love. His funeral was packed.
The people of Parkway Gardens had never had such a popular figure die at the hands.
He was one of the first deaths that was from the ops. When you one of the first to die, man, it hit harder.
As a result, the death affected very many people. O.D. Perry's death seemed to affect one young man in particular, the man who had heard O.D.'s last words. T-Roy. First, he was horrified seeing the neighborhood's idol riddled with bullets and bleeding out. Then he was saddened after it hit him that the great shooter was no more. Finally, something in him snapped. Maybe it was the fact that he was right there when he uttered his last words. Whatever it was, it changed him.
So that shit changed T-Roy. That shit changed T-Roy.
He must have been traumatized by the ordeal, but one thing was certain: OD's death had to be avenged. At all costs, OD had left some big shoes to fill, and T-Roy took it upon himself to fill them. It is important to note that prior to OD Perry's death, T-Roy was not really invested in violent gang activities. He used to move with guns, but never with the intention to slide on his ops. According to his longtime friend Jay Hood, they kept guns as a result of peer pressure. The older guys constant.
Me, T-Roy, all us, Vaughn, we used to be in cahoots. Just used to have guns, but we just used to have it so that the big guys wouldn't call us pussy. It's just like when you grew up in the hood and it's like, you ain't getting no pussy, you ain't no nothing, you a lame, you a goofy. So niggas finna do what? We finna try to fucking do all this. We might not even want it, but like we finna try to open ourselves up to it so niggas can't talk about us.
But after OD's death, everything changed and T-Roy's reign of terror began, and he was determined to slide on his ops any chance he got. He was so cocky that he would go on social media to make it clear that he was.
So motherfucker run up on me, I will shoot you. No problem. I will shoot you.
Among his most famous victims were Boss Trell and Lil Doc. On January 8, 2013, T-Roy and 3 others, including King Vav, hopped into a Chevrolet Impala and slowly drove through their ops main block looking for an OP to slide on. As they drove around 63rd in St. Lawrence, they spotted Marin Monroe, alias Lil Do. According to official reports, Lil Do had been painting his aunt's wood law building. After hours of work, Lil Do felt thirsty and decided to go to a nearby convenience store to buy a drink. As he made his way inside, Troy jumped out of the vehicle with his pipe in hand. He didn't waste time letting off shots. Lil Doc tried to make a run for it, but was struck. He stumbled and fell into a patch of tall weeds in an empty lot near the store. The police came to investigate the shooting, cleaned up the scene, and took off. However, they did not spot El Duel. Du's lifeless body would not be discovered until some hours after the shooting. A 16-year-old relative who was in a rush trying to make curfew was crossing through the abandoned lot when he found his corpse in the 6300 block of South St. Lawrence Avenue. It turns out that 21-year-old Lil Doc had been out of prison for 2 months and was on parole for stealing a car. He was trying to get his life right. He had received a GED while in prison, was trying to get a painter's license, and had been doing maintenance for property owned by his aunt. The next op to fall was Boss Trell, who had killed one of T-Roy's friends. Sheroy Ligens. Cops discovered Ligens, who hailed from the 2200 block of East 99th Street, lying on the street with a single gunshot wound to the head. He was rushed to Stroger Hospital in critical condition, where he remained until he was pronounced dead a few hours after being brought in. It turns out that before he met his death, Boss Low Trail was trying to get out of Chicago. He had lived by the gun and knew that he would die by the gun. The cycle of gang violence in Chicago was getting out of hand, and the only way to get out alive was to start life in a new city. It turns out that during the weeks prior to his death, there had been several attempts on his life. First, he had been shot at by OB 600 members. The following week, he was shot at on different days by King Vav and Big. Having panicked for his life, he decided to start life in a different part of the country. He chose Iowa and bought a bus ticket. However, he would never make it out of Chicago alive. According to Boss Trail's bus ticket, he was set to leave Chicago on November 10, 2012. Just 3 days before he left, he posted on Twitter that he was eager to start his new life. Can't wait till I get my new start. His excitement was also his undoing, as the tweet alerted his ops. There's no way his ops would let him escape from their grip forever. He had to be put down immediately, so a plan was put in motion. Rumor has it that T-Roy and his buddies used a girl to lure Boss Trail from hiding. The girl was supposed to set up a meeting with him the next day. Boss Trail fell for it and arrived at the agreed upon site. However, he was alone, as the girl he was to meet was nowhere in sight. Suddenly, a vehicle slowly pulled up a short distance away from him. It quickly dawned on him that he had been tricked and took to his heels. However, his op was hot on his trail with guns already blazing. Unfortunately, he was struck and fell as Troy and the rest fled the scene. Just 2 days before he was to leave Chicago, Boss Trell was found face down in an alley in the 2600 block of West 83rd Street with a shot to the back of the head. His ops were more than excited with the news of his death that they took to Twitter to show their delight. Boss Trail thought he could get away from the rat, but who he bumped into. One tweet read, "Unfortunately, T-Roy would die exactly how he had lived his life. The gang violence and murder that he so proudly lived by also claimed his life on Valentine's Day 2017. T-Roy and a friend strolled through the 2000 block of East 71st Street in the South Shore neighborhood. As T-Roy and his friend strolled through the streets, their ops TV and Can't Get Right were hot on their trail. From the footage, one can see that TB and Can't Get Right were scanning the Streets searching for T-Roy and his associate went into a store on 71st Street. Inside the store he was on one of the is having a conversation with his associate. Seconds later, CCTV footage show TB and can't get right walking into the store and toward their rivals. TB's right hand was slightly behind him, concealing a firearm. Suddenly TB raised his pipe and shot Troy, who then dropped.
I think at some point you take the picture in front of O-Block, in front of the King Von mural.
Mm-hmm.
So what was going on with all that?
Dirk told me to do that.
Dirk told you to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Floor Tr. Roy was then taken to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, where he succumbed to his gunshot wound. Famous rappers who were close to him were shocked and took to Twitter to express their sadness. This included Lil Durk, Lil Reese 600, Breezy, and Chief Keef. King Von was in prison at the time fighting a murder charge, and in an Instagram, L revealed that when his mom told him about T-Roy's death, he cried something the O-Block gang member had not done in ages. Lil Durk is also a well-known dangerous affiliate who has been caught up in gang violence. Although Lil Durk has not been indicted for any criminal acts, there has been wide speculation that he may have had a hand in the death of FBG Cash. FBG Cash relentlessly dissed King Von after his death, even going ahead to disrespect Von's mural. Then I think at some point you take the picture in front of OBL, the King VMHM. So what was going on with all that? DK told me to do that Dirk told you to do that. Yeah, okay. L Dirk even sent a cryptic message that everyone assumed was directed towards Cash, telling him to be careful, don't this thing if you be lingering and chasing won't end well. That's March. The Instagram story read, Dirk was quick to send a warning to Cash in his song Computer Murderers, where he raps sneaking pics by Von mural like Lil Bro won't come out and spin. Strangely, rumor has it that when Cash died, he was set up by a woman. This rumor, coupled with the message that Dirk sent Cash, is the reason people think V's affiliate had something to do with Cash's death. This would serve as a clear warning that Von's name was to be respected, even though he was already 6 feet under. Well, apart from T-Roy and Dirk, King Von was also feared because of the gang he was affiliated to. O-Block, it is a sect of the Black Disciples and among the most dangerous gangs in Chicago. After joining the rap industry, Von quickly made a name for himself, and since the money was coming in, he started taking care of his fellow O-Block members. He even bought some of them custom-made O-Block chains. Not only was O-Block loyal to V, they were one big family. O-Block gang members even acted as his security. In an interview, V's former manager 100K Track revealed that he trusted his client's safety with guys from O-Block than he would with anyone else. The gang were willing to go out of their way for V. In fact, as we will later see, 5 of them are facing potential life sentences because of V. With O-Block on his side, V was unstoppable. It is even rumored that O-Block were responsible for the murder of LPA, close affiliate of Quando Rondo. Remember, Quando Rondo is largely blamed for King Von's death, although Quando did not pull the trigger that ended Von's life. He dissed the late Chicago rapper in his music, which may have angered Von's guys who were still grieving. His words in an interview with All Around TV may have been the final straw, as all hell broke loose and Chu's life became a living hell. In the interview, the rapper said, however, some __ come to me, that's how I'm about to go about that death threat. All you want to bro that sh. That's just some words my go doin'. Action. Well, on the 19th of November, 2022, at a gas station in Beverly Grove, several gunmen ambushed Chu's entourage and opened fire. Although Quando Rondo was not hit, numerous reports show that he was the intended target. Unfortunately, a member of Chu's entourage was hit. His friends loaded him into the black SUV and drove about a mile to West Hollywood, where they were stopped by police officers responding to the shooting scene. Cops gave CPR to the victim, who was still breathing but was unconscious. Video of Quando screaming as they pulled the body out of the car quickly went viral on social media. An ambulance rushed the victim to the hospital. However, he succumbed to his injuries and died. Quando later identified the victim as Lulub after sharing a photo posing with him on Instagram. While no one from O-Block claimed the hit, it wouldn't be surprising to find out that, just like PG Cash, Quando was being targeted for V's death. All this just goes to show that the people who V was constantly around were killers, dangerous men who were not afraid to pull the trigger and end their enemies' lives. If you messed with V, you messed with all of them, making rappers afraid of him. Well, was V anything like his friends? Was he a cold-hearted murderer like his affiliates? Number 2, his bloodlust. While many of King Von's fans would not like to admit the rapper's criminal past, however, his friends have come forward and revealed his lifestyle. And
you usually don't really see dudes be able to slip out of the handcuffs like that.
Yeah, that was crazy. I don't know how he did it, but he did it.
Even the guards were baffled at how he had managed to slip out of his cuffs, yet
You could even see that he was cuffed correctly. You could see the marks from the cuffs on his arm.
turns out that the inmate who was attacked was 051 Freaky and, according to Lil Reese Vaughn may have jumped his op because he had a disrespectful tattoo of La Capone La. Capone was a Upand coming rapper who had close ties to L Durk on September 26, 2013 while leaving the recording studio around 6 p.m. La Capone went to look for his car down the street, and as he was walking down an alley near 70th Street in Stony Island Avenue he was approached by an individual later identified as Lil Mick from 051 Young Money. A rival gang. Capone was shot and killed even outside jail. V was not afraid or get his hands dirty. He was caught on video attacking fellow rapper Quando Rondo. Unfortunately, this altercation saw him get shot and finally lose his life minutes later in a hospital that day. Vaughn and his entourage flew from New York to Atlanta where he was set to have an album release party at Opium nightclub for his first album, Welcome to a Block. After leaving the club, everyone knew that they would all be heading back to their rented Airbnb to call it a KN. However, V had other ideas and took a detour heading for Monaco Hookah Lounge. Once at the club's parking lot, V waited for his security to give him the go-ahead to enter the club. As he waited, one of his homeboys notified Vaughn that he had just seen Quando Rondo sleeping in his car. In a split second, V was out of the car and heading toward Chu's direction. At this point, Quando had exited his car and was on his way to the club. V, with a few members of his crew behind him, proceeded to attack Quando, knocking him to the ground. Vaughn's guys joined in and started raining blows on Quando as he tried in vain to get away from his attackers. In a split second, one of Chu's homeboys, who was later identified as Lil Tim, appeared from behind their vehicle with a gun in hand and started letting off shots. V was fatally shot and died during surgery at Grady Hospital in Atlanta. Apart from using his fists, V was feared because he was a fearless shooter. One of the most talked about murders that cops have confirmed he committed was that of 17-year-old Gaka Barnes, popularly known as Key. The teenage girl wreaked havoc on O Block and its allies. In fact, she is credited for having killed the much loved OD Perry. She even openly bragged about it on social media. She posted insult after mocking OD's death, even thanking him for being target practice. Rumor had it that she had even stolen OD's gun and posted photos brandishing the weapon on social media. These antics angered her ops, especially King Bob, who started planning how to kill her. Although she was killed in the same way she had murdered OD Perry, Key, who was later nicknamed the female assassin by blogs, had been a thorn in the flesh for O Block members. Key was part of the Gangster Disciples gang, which was in direct conflict with O Block. Specifically, she belonged to the split set, also known as Tweel or Tuka gang. Reports suggest that Key wanted to be a social worker when she grew up. In fact, her mother described her as a sweet, loving girl, although she was already part of Slut from early on in her teenage years. Everything changed on the evening of January 12, 2011. Key's close friend was waiting for a bus on the 600 block of East 63rd Street. That friend was Shail Gregory, popularly known as Tuka. He was gunned down and died on the scene of the shooting. This changed young Gaka Barnes and turned
KI was like a pest. I remember her riding on the bike, like, taunting us, and nigga, we trying to chase her back on the block, but she get out of that skirt on the bike, she gone. And she was somebody that we hate.
Barnes and turned her into a cold, old blooded killer that was well respected in the Chio streets and feared by her ops. It didn't take long for her to become a ruthless killer in the streets of Chicago and was often called Snoopin' the Streets. The name was in reference to a ruthless murderer on the fictional television series The Wire. Rumor on the street has it that before she died, Key had murdered someone by the young age of 14 and might have been responsible for as many as 20 murders. She was hated by her ops and was even referred to as AP. K was like AP. I remember her riding on the bike taunting us and __. We trying to chase her back on a block, but she get out of that SC on the bike. She gone, and she was somebody that we hate. On April 11th, a hooded gunman shot Barnes in front of a home in the 6400 block of South Key was hit 9 times in the mouth, neck, and chest before running and collapsing on a neighbor's doorstep and passing out. She later succumbed to her injuries at Northwestern Memorial Hospital that day.
And then Vaughn walked up to me, and I shook his hand. He look straight. And then I look straight, and I'm like, why? Why are you telling me to look straight? He look straight. And what I'm finna say to you, don't look at me after I tell you.
Northwestern Memorial Hospital that day. She was walking with her brother FBG. Butter, and a friend, all 3 sustained.
I just run up on KI and why I just ran up on them niggas and caught KI. She was the last one running out of the gate.
Gunshot wounds, but it seemed as though Key was the intended target as the other.
And I'm just in my head like, damn, for real? And sure enough, after he told me that, sirens came.
2 survived. King Von was arrested in connection with the shooting after he was identified by eyewitnesses, but was soon released.
Man, what I know is, on my dead, Von didn't kill Kai. I got shot too. I was right there. I got shot too. I saw the motherfucker who popped us. He did.
Soon released as police were unable to meet the burden of proof in court. Ultimately, the charges were rejected because of the lack of strong evidence to convict Von for years later after King Von died in a tragic shooting in Atlanta. Reports surfaced showing that Vav had indeed killed Key. According to police reports, the shooter wore a gray hoodie and blue jeans. He approached the 3 victims, produced a handgun, and began firing in the direction of the victims, striking all 3. He then entered an unknown vehicle and fled the scene. J-Hood, who was very close to V at the time, narrated what happened the day Key died. He admits that V confessed to killing Kakira Barn, and then Van walked up to me and I shook his hand. He look straight, and then I look straight and I'm like why you telling me to look straight? He look straight, and what I'm going to say to you, don't look at me after I tell you. According to the former O Block member, V told him that he had shot 3 people and that Key was the last one of the 3 he had shot and killed. I just run up on Key and you know why I just ran up on them, __, and caught and CUK. She was the last one running out of the gate. As soon as V told him this, sirens could be heard in the distance getting closer, and I'm just in my head like, damn, for real? And sure enough, after he told me that, sirens came. However, Key's brother, FBG Butter, who was present at the scene, denies this. He denies the fact that V was responsible for his sister's death. Man, what I know is on my defined in Kai. I got shot too. I was right there. I that shot too. I saw the mother who popped us. He did, despite strong opposition from Butta. Police reports emerged in 2023, showing that he had confessed the cops that V had indeed killed his sister. According to the documents, Cooperator 3 was also present for and witnessed the murder of his sister Gaka Barnes by O Block member Von Bennett. This is not the only murder that was connected to the late Chicago rapper. The death of Carlton Weekly alias FBG Duck was also linked to Vav. However, cops uncovered all this after he had passed away on August 4th. 2020 news broke out that FBG Duck had been shot and killed at Michigan Avenue and East Oak Street in the Gold Coast area of Chicago. Everyone could tell that it was a hit, and it was not long before 5 members of O Block were arrested in connection to the murder. On October 13th, 2020, the feds raided Oak and arrested 5 men for FBG Duck's murder. These were Charles Liggins, aka C. Murder, Kenneth Robertson, aka Kenny Max, to Carlos Offord, aka Al Christopher, Thomas, aka C Thing, and Marcus Smart, aka Mwap. The 5 were charged with murder, unlawful use of firearms, racketeering, and assault with dangerous weapons. The charges carried a mandatory minimum of life. Upon conviction, there was even talk of the prosecution seeking the death penalty. The feds revealed that someone had put a $50,000 bounty on Duck's head. However, no one was willing to do it. The informant further revealed that the same individual had bumped up his offer to $100,000. Someone from O Block was willing to part ways with $100,000 in exchange for Duck's death. Well, at the time V was making it big in the industry, he may have been the one that put out the bounty, although the informant did not reveal the individual's name. They told the cops that the said person had rewarded the killers with custom-made O Block chains. The pieces were starting to fall into place. As a video,
you see Mr. Banks' arm out the window firing several shots at the victim, towards the victim.
As a video had earlier surfaced on YouTube of none other than King Von giving O Block members custom-made chains. Apart from this, among all the O Block members, he was the one who had that kind of money, since he had made it big in his music career. After internet sleuths did some digging, they found out that the suspected informant was none other than King Von's little brother Louis V. Documents from the Fed showed that the snitch had been arrested for unlawful use of a weapon on the 17th of August, 20. Unfortunately, no one else close to V or even from O Block was arrested on the same day or on the same charge.